There it is. I've never found a love like this. There it is. I've never found a love like this.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to E20 Zone TV. It's Monday. It is freezing. It has been snowing, and it's like a blizzard. But we're here to talk about England and their stormy exit out of Qatar World Cup. To my right, you know who he is. You know that logo. That is West Ham Online. He's going to divulge into what went wrong against France. And, yeah, we're going to see what happens. West Ham Online, how are you? And what do you reckon on England?
I'm good. First of all, I'm good. I'm glad to be back on the channel. As for England, I think we were unlucky against France. There's certainly things we could have done better, and obviously there's things that we done very well. But I think we'll dive into that as the video goes on.
Yeah. Let's get into it. England 1, France 2. I didn't do an afterthought the other day because I was so upset. Like, I've never been so upset after an England game, and I've seen England a few times, like all through my life. Like 98 springs to mind. 2006 springs to mind as a couple of sort of distant ones where I've been sort of gutted. But on Saturday night, I've never felt so upset to lose a game where I believe we were the better team. We deserved to win it. Like, it was just like, for the first half, one silly mistake in the first half, and the goalkeeper, the referee's at fault for that, really. How do you assess the first half? Let's talk about the first half, and then we'll talk about the second.
The goal changed everything, the first goal, because it meant that we were immediately panicking, and I think that goal already put us at a terrible disadvantage. And yeah, that was, I'd say, a lot of that came due to the ref. It was definitely a foul on Saka. I don't know why he didn't give it. I don't know why VAR didn't look at it. Yes, the goal was probably about 14 seconds after the supposed foul, but surely they could have looked at that. And the actual shot itself, brilliant strike. There's a few mistakes from people in the build-up, and I've seen a few people say Pickford, like, that's the problem with Pickford, is because he's got small arms. Maybe a bigger arm keeper could have got to it, but at the end of the day, it was a great strike and definitely a mistake by the referee. Yeah,
listen, it's a great goal from them. I think Pickford, though, like, I see Mitchell's in the chat, and I agree with what Mitch said. I think he's on about Pickford. I think Pickford should be getting there, though. Yeah, in my opinion. I think it's a bit like, if that's a bigger goalkeeper, if I've got a bigger goalkeeper in goal, I think he saves it. I thought first half we huffed and puffed, and the goal sort of just kicked us in the nuts, really, if I'm being honest. But you know what? I said it to my mate. I was sitting in the pub, and I said to my mate, I said, I'm not worried. I'm not worried because England are playing all right. Like, if England were defending for their lives and like couldn't like string a like pass together or an attack, then I would have been like, I don't know about this. But do you know what? Half time, I thought 1-0 down. I thought, you know what? I'm not worried here. I think if England come out and start fast, sort out the problem, because I actually thought Griezmann was running the show for them. Like, literally popping up in all these positions. I'm thinking, can someone please get hold of Griezmann? They did sort that out in the second half, but first half, he sort of run the show for me. But let's talk about the second half. Now, let's start off with the penalty for England. Give me your assessment of the penalty.
Blatant. What, our first penalty?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was blatant. That was definite foul. The referee had to give that one, so I was glad he did. And yeah, obviously it was very well taken, that specific penalty by Harry Kane. It's what you expect from him, really.
Yeah, I agree. Do you know what? When he stepped up for the first penalty, I wasn't worried. I thought to myself, listen, forget the West Ham Tottenham sort of hatred. I said, just stick this away, mate. Yeah. And he did. It was a really, really good penalty. And England sort of huffed and puffed then, big time. They was all over France. Like, Jude Bellingham had a great shot, saved by Lloris. Saka, who I thought, listen, I've got to roll my hands up and eat some humble pie. I said that Saka wasn't all that, but he's really proved me wrong. In an England shirt, I thought he was absolutely first class. He was destroying Hernandez down that right-hand side, I think it was. And, or left-hand side, sorry. And, yeah, listen, I thought we was like having a go. And then for about 10 minutes, France sort of got control of the situation. Like, I don't know about you, but or even I don't know whether it was even 10 minutes. Like, it just turned all of a sudden. Like, where France were getting on the ball a bit more, they were getting forward more, and they were more sort of on the front foot again. Like, I think they'd ridden the England storm. What do you make of their goal, Giroud?
I agree with you. Firstly, I think France had a little period where Pickford had to make a save. I can't remember who from, but he had to make a decent save.
I think it was from Giroud.
Yeah,
if I remember rightly.
Yeah, and they were getting a lot of joy when, as you were saying, when Griezmann was getting on the ball and sort of peeling out wide. But because we was marking Mbappe so tightly, it meant that Griezmann was sort of free when he drifted to the left. And that's sort of where the goal came from. Griezmann sort of peeled out wide. Giroud, who I didn't think was exceptional during the game, but that's what he can do. He became free in the box, and he just met the ball and it went in, I suppose.
I just don't think he gets enough praise, Giroud. Like when you look at what he's done, he's outscored Henry in the France shirt, and people look at him and go, "Oh yeah, he's not all that. He ain't bad if he keeps scoring goals in the French."
Yeah.
And let's be honest, France have got a conveyor belt of talent. He's still there at 35 or 36, so you got to give him his due. Right, let's talk about the subs. Right, this is where it's going to start to get interesting. There, I understand the substitutes to a point, but I think they're wrong. That's the only thing I will say. We go 2-1 down. He takes off Saka, and he takes off Henderson. I think it is. He brings on Mason Mount and Sterling. Explain your thoughts on the subs for me.
I like Sterling. So I like Sterling coming on the pitch firstly. I think people give him too much slack. Really, over the past few years, he's actually been the main man for England in big games. So I get why he came on. But for Saka, I don't really get that. I thought Saka was our best player on the night, as he has been for quite a few games this tournament. So I don't get why we took him off. Yes, he was probably tiring a bit because the ball was going through him a lot. So I'm not going to give too much criticism to Southgate for that one, but I don't think Saka should have come off. And who was the other player, that came on?
Henderson come off, Mount come on. Mount won the penalty.
Oh, yeah, Mount. He made a good run for the penalty, and once again, he's a player who gets too much hate. I'm not his biggest fan, but the amount of times I've seen his horrendous shot clipped up already was a bit shocking, because apart from that, he won the penalty. He played okay. But I would have rather seen Maddison come on, really, in that scenario when we needed a goal.
Interesting one. I understand what you're saying, but can you chuck someone in who hasn't played all World Cup into a game where we're 2-1 down and expect him to be a masterclass? Do you know what I'm saying? I understand with the Mount thing. I get what you're saying with the Mount thing. And it's very hit and miss with me with Southgate, because I look at it and think, okay, you take Saka off, you shouldn't have done, but you bring Mount on, and Mount does win the penalty. Mount makes the run, he wins the penalty, and we will get to the penalty now. What do you make of the penalty? Did Harry Kane bottle it, or did he just miss a penalty, basically?
I think a little bit he bottled it. I don't read too much into the narrative that Kane's not a big game player. I get it. I get where it comes from. He was terrible in the Champions League final when he just returned from injury. He was okay last year against Italy.
He looked nervous on that penalty, mate.
He did not look nervous. He kept pulling his socks up, and he hit it too hard. What I mean is, he should have just sort of walked up to it, slotted it in the corner, or just passed it down the middle, because Lloris was going to dive. But it just seemed like he was going, right, I'm going to hit it as hard as I can and pray for my life here, basically.
Yeah. I do you know what? I was sitting in there, right, and my mate, who I do a lot of the betting stuff with, he fancied a 2-2 all day. He said, James, I'm telling you now, I fancy a 2-2. I think there's going to be goals in this game, and a lot of them, right? And for a laugh, I had like a few quid on the 2-2. And when he got the penalty, I said, how the fuck have you pulled this 2-2 out the bag here? And then, as luck would have it, Kane goes and blasts it over the bar. And I'm like, you just can't make it up. He never misses penalties. For me, I think the occasion got the better of him. It's as simple as that, right? I just feel the occasion got the better of him. I feel at that moment we needed Harry Kane, and he just folded at the end of the day. And like, listen, there's nothing against the geezer. I've got nothing against the geezer. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I don't like him because he plays for Spurs, but as a bloke playing for England, he did fold on that occasion, big time, and he just sort of like you just said there, it was like a hit and hope shot, really, rather than be more focused and be more on it. Do you know what I'm saying? And then obviously the game filters out into a 2-1 defeat. So Alfie, let's get into it with this. Right now, I think you might know what my next question is going to be. It's this. Southgate in or Southgate out? Now, I'm going to go first, and I'm going to say to you why I think Southgate should stay. Yeah? I understand the cry for a new manager. I get it. Yeah? Get a new manager in, but the camaraderie and what he's done over the last sort of four years has been unreal for England standards. Like, England don't get to a semi-final of a World Cup and don't get to a final of a Euros before Southgate, right? And I've seen a lot of England games. Like, I remember us in '98, 2006. We was like always the quarter-final merchants, that we would get to a quarter-final and then we'd just fold. Yeah, I look at Saturday's game and I look at the overall game, and we were the better team. And if Kane slots that penalty away, I think we win that game. I don't know how we win that game, but I think we do win that game, right? Whether it's on penalties, extra time, or whatever. I just felt we were the better side, yeah. So for me, I think you have to give him to the Euros. You have to, in my opinion, right? Give him 18 months, see what he can do. By that time, these players would have been there, right? He would have brought these Bellingham. The way he's brought Bellingham into this team has been unreal, and that's the way I look at it. I just feel that he's done quite well in a short space of time with these players. England have got no given right to go and win a World Cup. Right? They could win it, but there is other teams in it also. It ain't just England on their own. So I'm very mixed on it at the minute. What are you saying on this?
I'm very mixed as well. As you know, I like to back the manager most of the time. But Southgate, he's done a very good job, firstly. He has done a very good job, I think. As you said, a quarter-final, a final and a semi-final, whatever people want to say about who we played and all of this, it's better than England have done in the past. For example, with Hodgson, we lost to Iceland. We went out the group in the World Cup. So saying that we beat lower opposition isn't really an argument you can throw against him, in my opinion, because in the past, England have struggled in those games. So I wouldn't mind if Southgate stays. I think he gets the nation and the players together. So personally, I'd want him to stay. But at the same time, if he left and we got another coach in like Pochettino, I wouldn't mind. I think Poch is obviously a better coach than Southgate, but international football is not always about how good the coach is, as we've seen with France.
But can you sort of, like, cause I've seen people saying Tuchel, I've seen people saying like Pochettino. I don't think there's anyone out there who can make England, like, how can I put this? Whoever does come into England's got a better Southgate now. Yeah. So whatever they do, they've got a better, basically a finalist role, really. Like, because if England fail, say if England got knocked out in the semi-final in the Euros, a lot of people will say that's not good enough, because we should be winning this. So I understand what people are saying on this, but I fear the backlash of this if it goes wrong. Like, if you go and bring someone in, then you could have like the old England appear, where there's like favouritism and all that. Do you know what I'm saying? And certain clubs get different like treatment. So I don't know. I really don't.
I do want to say as well. I don't want to come across as not open-minded, if that makes sense. But I really don't get why nations are allowed managers that aren't of their nation, if that makes sense, because players aren't allowed to do it. So why are managers allowed to do it? I don't really understand it. I get it with smaller nations. They might not have the managers available. But
Yeah.
overall, I don't get why England would appoint a German manager. It just doesn't really make sense from that point of view for me.
Yeah, but to me, it just feels like you're changing the whole philosophy of England again. Like, if you
Yeah.
go and get a German manager, he's going to play a German style football, right? Now, I've seen people saying about the Morocco manager and look how well he's doing. Like, I watched a bit on like TalkSport today. Now, you've got to give Morocco their due, yeah, because they're not expected to win anything, but they're fighting for their lives there, really. Do you know what I'm saying? And they, don't get me wrong, they deserve to be in the semi-final. Right? They've conceded 1 goal all tournament. That's an own goal. And they've been excellent. But I don't think England fans would accept that style of football, if that makes sense. Do you know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
like, if someone said to you right now, who would you go and get of a realistic nature? There is really no one out there who can come in and take over. Like, the only one that springs to mind for me is Eddie Howe for me. That would be the only one where I could look at him and go, he's a young manager. He's done excellent with Newcastle, how he's changed them around over the last 12 months. Would the England job be too big for him? I don't think it would, but I think it's a challenge, isn't it? Like, no Englishman will ever turn away the England job. Then after that, Eddie Howe, there is no one. Maybe Potter, but Potter hasn't proven himself at Chelsea. And then you're going down the list then of like people like Gerrard, Lampard, things like that. And I don't want to go back to them sort of people.
I don't want Gerrard or Lampard, no.
Do you know what I'm saying? So, before we move on, what are you saying on this then? Are you saying you want him to stay, or would you like to see it freshened up?
I want him to stay. I think we play reasonably good football, especially in this World Cup. I think we played nice enough football. We're not perfect, but no international side is. I've watched all of the World Cup, and I've not seen one international side that's perfect, even Brazil. So I want him to stay. I did want Potter, but obviously he's at Chelsea now, so that's not going to happen. And to be honest, he's not doing brilliant at Chelsea. But when he was at Brighton, I did want him. But I'd rather keep Southgate.
Do you keep him to the Euros? Do you give him to the Euros, then that's in 18 months, and then let him go?
Yeah, we'll see how he does in the Euros. Yeah, that's exactly what I do, actually. Because the Euros, I think we should be getting to the semi-final or the final when I look at the teams now. So if he can do that again, if he can win it, really, he's got to win the next competition he's in if he stays, to be honest.
Yeah, I hear you, mate. I do. We'll do this. What did we learn about England at Qatar 2022? What did you learn about England in this tournament, Alfie?
I learned that we have a lot of good young players, and I think we're going to only get better. I hate saying that because we've said that every year over the past few years, but I think we will get a lot better. I think Saka's been sensational on the right, unbelievable player. I think he's the star boy coming through. Foden's been in and out, but we all know how well he can do when played in the right position. Jude Bellingham, obviously, he's had a good tournament. A lot of people think he's the next big thing. I personally don't, but I can see why people like him. He's definitely a good player, don't get me wrong. And then we obviously have Declan Rice, who's done sensationally well as well.
I thought Jude Bellingham. I'm on the other side of the fence on that. I think Jude Bellingham's been excellent. Like, I look at him, I think 19 years old. There was a clip that I see of him when Kane missed a penalty, run straight up to Kane. Like, said, "Come on!" Like, basically, he's a winner. Jude Bellingham.
He is a leader. He's a good leader.
Yeah, and for 19 years old, I don't think I've ever seen that ever in as in players. Don't get me wrong, Rooney, Owen, they were good players, but they weren't leaders like him. They weren't. Like, he looks the real deal, Bellingham. For me, what I've learned is that England are nearly there, but just not quite there yet. For me, right? That France game for me, on another day, England beat France. It was just, we had the referee against us. We had just a bit of bad luck and all, really. And maybe, if you want to learn something from this tournament, it's the mentality. Because when England went down 1-0, they didn't fold. They didn't fall apart. They kept it together, kept composed, got the goal back. And they've just got to be have a bit more of a ruthless mentality, in my opinion. Like, just to get the job done. Do you know what I mean? France were ruthless. and England weren't. Do you know what I'm saying? I think Saka, for me, listen, I used to have the old debate about Bowen and Saka. Now that's completely blown out the water from me. I think Saka was excellent in this tournament. I've got to give some praise to Harry Maguire. Also, he hasn't really played for Manchester United. He come in England and he didn't really put a foot wrong, in my opinion. I thought he done pretty well. One position that I would like to change in this team, for me, is the goalkeeper. I'm not a fan of Pickford myself, and I would like to see someone else in there, maybe a Ramsdale or someone who's at a club where they're doing very well. And I just think Jordan Pickford, for me, he just doesn't do it for me. Really doesn't. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know about you, but I'll get your thoughts on it. What do you think with Pickford?
Pickford, he's been a good keeper for England, but he's not that next level. He probably a bigger keeper saves that shot from Tuchemeni. Yeah. He's done very well, but I think if we want to adapt to move forward, I think by the time the next Euros is on, Ramsdale's probably got to be in goal.
Yeah, I agree. Is there anyone that you would like to have seen more at this World Cup for you? Like, because for me, Rashford done very, very well, like in my opinion. But I don't know, like it's very hard to pick England's 11 at the minute because they've got so many good players, and I just think they're in midfield. There's like you got Henderson in there. If you take Henderson out, it's very sort of like where'd you go with it, sort of thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you go 4-2-3-1 or do you stay 4-3-3? Is there any like positions in there or players in there that you would have liked to see more of?
Yeah, Maddison. I would have liked to see a bit more of Maddison, but he doesn't really suit the formation is the problem. But I just want to see more of Maddison in an England shirt, to be honest. Also, I want to see more of Trent in an England shirt, but I get why he didn't play, especially against France.
Yeah. Listen, I agree, mate. I agree. So, West Ham Online. Final thoughts before we wrap this up. What's your sort of overall thoughts of this World Cup with England?
England, we had a good World Cup. Good-ish World Cup, should I say. And we were unlucky. Harry Kane, if he sticks that penalty in, I agree, we probably go on to win the game. We're not quite there yet. We're a step away. And the annoying thing about international football is the tournaments are rare. They're every 2 years, as we say. So we've got to wait another 2 years for Euros now. But I think by the time that rolls around, Rice will be 26, 25, 26, yeah. Who else have we got?
Bellingham.
Bellingham will only be, 21? Saka will only be 24. Foden will only be 24, 25. So we've got a bright future and we're going to have players entering their prime sort of years. So hopefully we'll be okay, and hopefully Harry Kane will still be a very good forward by then, because the drop off from him to Callum Wilson is quite a decent sized one, I'd say.
Richard says here, a word for the ref, Jim. For me, the referee was terrible, mate. I'm not even going to go into it. The ref, for that first half, I could not believe some of the sort of decisions that he was letting go. Really, like there'd be a blatant foul on Saka, and then about 10 seconds later, a French player would go down on a soft challenge, basically, and he'd give a foul. I thought the referee, the game was too big for him, miles too big for him, and I just thought he got a bit flustered. Like we can't overall knock him because he gave one penalty. He missed the other one, but he was just poor. So that's my thoughts on the ref. For me, my final thought with it is I agree with everything you just said. The future for me is the Euros. I think you have to look at the Euros now and go, right, England have to win that. Yeah, with the talent that England have. I would like to see a change of goalkeeper. I really would. I don't think Pickford's good enough. No disrespect to Pickford, but I think if Ramsdale keeps performing the way he is at Arsenal, I think he should be number one. That's the first thing. I think England have to sort out defenders who are playing regularly for their clubs. So that means Carl Walker, if he's not playing regularly at City, Maguire, even Luke Shaw to a point. I think we've got to have a lot of players who are playing regularly, and in good teams. Right, that's another thing. I think from the midfield to the attack, I think we're on point. Like we're there. Do you know what I'm saying? I just think we've got a couple of missing little pieces. I think in the first game we blew Iran away. I thought it was excellent. I thought Iran were poor and we just went straight through them. Yeah. The USA game for me is the game where I looked at England and I still see little things where they struggle to break teams down. That's one thing I will say. Against USA, I just did not fancy England to beat USA because I just think if England come up against a sort of European defence, so to speak, with European players in European leagues, I think England find it tough sometimes. I really do. So the USA game for me was like a struggle. Yeah. The Wales game, as I said the other day, England could put their fourth choice team out and still go through Wales. Wales relied on two people who are close to retirement, basically. So that was never an issue. The Senegal game for me, I was quite surprised how well England played. They started off a little bit slow. Pickford did do some good saves, I'll give him that. But once we scored the first goal, we was always going to win that game. Like there was only one winner in that game. And then you get to the France game where, let's be honest, like if we get the penalty in the first half through Kane going down, it's a completely different game. If they pull back the France's first goal for the foul, it's a completely different game. It just seemed like it just wasn't meant to be, or they'd done everything in their power not to allow England to win that game. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then let's be honest, as fans of England, we missed a penalty to make it go to extra time because it would have went to extra time. There's no doubt about that. And that's it, really. Do you know what I'm saying? It's very bittersweet for me because I look at them and I think nearly, but just not quite. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's the worst one I've seen in England. In England defeat for a while.
One question I want to ask is, what was your initial thoughts after the game? Was you sad or was you just thinking, right, we can push on next time?
I was very, very sad. Very, very sad. Listen, I was very, very like looking at it and thinking, would I ever see England win in my lifetime? That is my attitude on it. Yeah, and it ain't me being over dramatic or looking at it in a different light. But I look at it like this: if you beat France, I would expect England to get to the final of the World Cup. But no disrespect to Morocco, but you will see what Morocco are like against like France. If they go and beat France, then I'll be like, fair enough, maybe we got that wrong. But for me, I just think they haven't been to a final of a World Cup since '66. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that was their best moment to get to a final. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was like a final playing France in a way, because you just got to look at it and think, well, if we would have beat France, I believe we would have got to the final. I believe we would have got to beat Morocco, got to the final, and then it's a toss of a coin, then, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If the gods are with us, then they're with us. If they're not, they're not. So yeah, I was gutted, mate. Absolutely gutted. Now listen, I've seen England go out in '96 against Germany on pens. I've seen them in '98. Sorry, Argentina. I've seen 2006 against Portugal. I've seen some shit, like, do you know what I'm saying? And I've seen some times where England have gone out and you've been disappointed, but this one just hurts a little bit more for some reason. Because I just think it was there. It was there for us to go and do it, but we just didn't get it done at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that is my thoughts on that. But on other news, we will be back with West Ham stuff now. So our West Ham content will return, and we will be discussing if West Ham will be having any defensive problems. Quick question before we go: all the players that have gone over to Qatar, obviously Aguerd looks injured, which is a problem. Declan's obviously coming back. Do you rest any of these players who went to Qatar against Arsenal, or do you get them all in?
I get them all in personally because other teams are dealing with it. Arsenal are dealing with it. Obviously, they've got Jesus out as well now, so they'll be starting my man Eddie and Ketia up front against us. So, yeah, I think we just put everyone out there.
Yeah. Listen, it feels good to be back to West Ham now. I will say that. Like, don't get me wrong, I've enjoyed the World Cup, like with England, but I don't know why, but it just don't feel the same in the middle of December when it's freezing cold and you're all crammed into a boozer. When usually it's in the summer and you're in the beer garden. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. I can't wait for 4 years' time when it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. You're watching it from like USA or Canada or somewhere. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's what else we've got to look forward to. But until that time, we'll deal with West Ham. Listen, Alfie, thank you very much for coming on. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me on.
No worries, man. Listen, everyone, please do smash a like on the video. It goes a long way. And please do subscribe to the channel. That goes a long way and all. I'll be back. I don't know when I'll be back because I've got a busy week ahead. I've got my birthday, another year older on Friday. So I don't know whether I'll be back before then. But if not, then I'll be looking at doing a preview for the Arsenal West Ham game with a few Arsenal fans that I know. I'll probably even get the lads on and we'll discuss what's going on with West Ham in regards of defence. Obviously, we've got no Zuma now, so if Aguero's not fit, I don't know who's going in defence for the minute. Do you know what I mean? I might have to even ask Mitchell, sign Mitchell up to go in defence because we have got no one at the minute. So yeah, we will see what happens there. But anyway, enjoy your snowy Monday wherever you are on this planet, and I will see you again in the next one. Peace.
There it is. I've never found a love like this.